Am I living in fear because I teach about and talk about psychic attack, spiritual empowerment, spiritual discernment, false light, and all of those related topics? Are you living in fear because you take time to learn about psychic self-defense and spiritual empowerment and discernment? Are you living in fear? Let's talk about that. Hi, everybody. My name is Maya Zahira with PsychicProtectionSanctuary.com. I'm doing this video because this idea is a very common comment that I get from viewers when I am a guest on other people's podcasts, where there are a lot of viewers who are into the more new age, positive vibes only, love and light kind of mentality that says, like, you're not supposed to talk about anything negative. If you talk about anything negative, you'll draw it to you. And here's the thing. I'm not going to convince, like, anybody who's really into that belief system. This video is not going to convince you. Like, I'm not trying to convince you. You may not like this video. This video is more for the rest of us, all of you out there on my YouTube channel who you're trying to be a genuine truth seeker, and you keep running into this like resistance from people in spiritual communities. And by the way, everyone has the right to believe whatever they want to believe. But I just want to speak to, like, this video is really for those of you out there who might run into this kind of resistance from people around you in your spiritual circles when you talk about learning about this kind of stuff. So I have a couple of points that I want to talk about, and these are just to help you gain clarity if you're feeling a little like maybe you're on the fence, maybe you're a little bit unsure, like, well, like, is it okay to be studying this stuff? Is it gonna draw more of it to me, or maybe it's just gonna give you more clarity so the positive vibes only, love and light people aren't so triggering. Because, like I said, I get those comments all the time. It's not triggering for me anymore. Like the comments like, oh, she's just living in fear. She's coming from a place of fear. Like, she's attracting negative energies because she has negative energy or negative beliefs. Like, that kind of stuff used to irritate the hell out of me, but it really doesn't trigger me at all anymore, because I've gotten so clear in my own mind of, this is what I believe and this is why I believe it, and people are welcome to believe whatever they believe, and it's fine, whatever. So here are a few points that might help you clarify your own beliefs. And wherever you're watching this, YouTube or wherever, I invite you to share some of your own clarity about this as well. Is there maybe some additional way of looking at this that might also be helpful for people? So regarding the comment, like, oh, she's living, or he or whoever is living in fear, they're coming from a fear-based belief system by talking about psychic protection, blah, blah, blah. Here's the first story that I'd like to share, the first idea that I'd like to share. And it's that if someone decides to take a safe driving course, a course on driving safety, maybe they've decided to do it because they've moved to a big city where the traffic is horrible and it's just like really difficult to navigate the traffic. Or maybe their auto insurance is offering a discount or a special deal if you take this course online or in person or whatever. So you decide to take this course and you're going through the lessons, and then you're doing your normal driving, grocery store, going out, doing things. Does taking that driver safety course that teaches about it actually does also teach about the dangers on the road, does that course taking that course cause you to suddenly get in a horrible car accident? Does taking that safe driver course where you learn about some of the driving dangers and what to do about it, does it cause reckless drivers to suddenly be energetically attracted to crash into your car? That sounds ridiculous, right? But that's what people are saying when they say, if you take a course on psychic protection, or you read a book on psychic protection, or you watch a video about psychic protection, that will cause psychic protection issues to attract to you. If that were true, then taking any kind of safety course, like a personal safety course, a martial arts safety course or something like that, would attract all the muggers to you. Like all of a sudden you're getting mugged by 20 people a day because you took this personal safety martial arts course. No, you don't see that in reality. These belief systems are so ingrained that people can't see beyond them. It's like the ultimate truth. It's like a religion. Like, this is the only truth. It is only this. And that is a good segue to my next story. And I think this is an amazing, excellent story to illustrate this idea about this belief that if you focus on something, you'll cause it, and vice versa. If you don't focus on it, it won't happen to you. So let me emphasize that. The underlying idea is, if you don't focus on the thing, it won't happen to you. It'll never happen to you. You'll be safe. Okay? So this story, I hope, really gets the point across. Many years ago, I was living in a different area of the country in the United States than where I live now. And I was at a spiritual holistic fair, and I was walking around and just enjoying the different booths. And there was a lady who had a booth that had tons of bracelets like this, all these like gemstone bracelets and little doodads and stuff like that. So it was like box after box after box of like this kind of bracelet, this kind of bracelet, and this kind of bracelet. And so people were like, her booth was very crowded, and there were a lot of people like with their hands like in the different boxes touching these different stones. And I stood there and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, the woman had her back completely turned away and her head was down, and she was like doing something. She was completely turned away from all of the customers. And I literally was watching people shoplift. People were taking things and putting them in their bag, and taking things and putting them in their bag. And I do tend to be pretty, I tend to not get involved. Like, I don't get in people's business. I just let people have whatever experience. But every once in a while, I will choose to speak up or say something. And so I walked up to the proprietor of the booth and I said, "How are you today?" And she said, "Oh, I'm fine. Everything is good." And I said, I forget exactly how I worded it, but I said something like, with your back turned like this, it would be very easy for people to shoplift. I didn't tell her I am seeing people shoplift right now. I just said, because I was being gentle, I'm not the boss of everyone. And so I just said, it would be very easy for people to shoplift. What she said was so fascinating. She still had herself turned away from all the customers. And she said to me, she kind of like turned her head a little bit, said to me, well, I believe that if I focus on having shoplifters, it will cause it. And I'm afraid that I will cause shoplifting if I focus on that. She literally said, I'm afraid that I will cause it. So she literally called herself out. And this is something that is true for so many love and lighters but I'll jump ahead to that in a second. Finishing the story. She was trying so hard to not attract or manifest shoplifters, and by doing that, she was like closing her eyes essentially so that she wouldn't think about or cause the thing. And did that stop it from happening? No. I was literally seeing people put bracelets in their handbags without paying. Okay. So did her positive vibes only, don't think about anything negative, if you think about it, it'll cause it, did that serve her? Did that fix the problem of shoplifting? No, it did not. I will never forget that story. I will never forget seeing that. It was such an interesting observation. Now, I didn't feel like it was my job to like teach her. I feel like that would be codependent. Like I'm supposed to teach everyone that I meet. So I did not do that. I just said, have a wonderful day. And I continued shopping. And she had her journey and her experience, whatever she was supposed to have. But about the love and lighters, those who think that if you focus on, like, if you don't think about it, it won't happen to you. Well, clearly in this story about the spiritual fair, she was not thinking about, or she was trying to not think about shoplifters, but it was still happening. And my belief, my observation is that all the love and lighters who are like, don't focus on that, don't focus on this, don't focus on that, because it's fear-based. But guess what? They are expressing fear of fear. They are afraid of fear. They're afraid of fear. Because here's the thing. We can talk about things that might be a little scary, but we don't have to be afraid of our own fear. We can have courage and wisdom, and we can say, these are things that I need to look at. Whether it's like, I'm going to sit down and create my will, even though it's scary to think of mortality. That's just an example. I'm not in the middle of doing that, but like that might be scary. But we say, no, this needs to be done. So we go ahead and do it. We move through the fear. There might be fear. Fear is only a human emotion. Fear does not cause bad things to happen to you. Fear is normal. And so it's just fascinating to me, this being afraid of fear, and the being afraid of fear. They're in fear. People who are the love and lighters are the most afraid people that I have ever seen who won't admit that they're afraid. Does that make sense? Love and lighters who are like, don't talk about anything that's fear-based. They're saying that because they're afraid. They are more afraid than anyone. So you might agree or not agree, but I truly believe this. Like I've spent decades in the New Age and spiritual communities. I've kind of stepped out in the last several years because just couldn't deal. But I literally spent decades, like over 20 years, 25 years, I don't know, long time, immersed in the New Age and love and light communities. And I just, I, this is my perspective. I really think there's a great deal of being afraid of fear. So, is it okay? Is it safe? Is it beneficial to learn about things that might be scary or to do things that might be scary? Like, is it a good thing to write your will? Is it a good thing to read a book or take a course on something that might be scary or uncomfortable but is important for your safety? Yes, those are all things that are beneficial. We shouldn't be avoiding them just because, like, we're supposed to avoid anything that gives us fear. That is very fear-based. Avoiding anything that causes you to feel fear, that is what is fear-based. So that's my main message for today. I also want to point out with that, I'm going to try not to like beat the point into the ground too much, but I've been doing psychic protection work for a long time now. And one of the things that I've noticed when new people come to me and they start working with me is that they used to have the belief that I'm talking about. They used to, and I used to have that belief too. They used to have the belief, if I don't focus on anything negative, or if I don't focus on anything dark spiritually, nothing bad can touch me. They had that belief, and they still experienced some type of spiritual warfare, some type of negative spiritual experience. They still experienced a psychic attack from a dark practitioner, or they still experienced an entity, some entity interference, or black magic, or what you name it. And they felt very confused. Why did this happen to me? I was focusing on love and light. I wasn't dabbling in the dark arts. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I'm so confused. This doesn't match my beliefs. And I've lost track of how many hundreds of people I've spoken to from all over the world over the years who firmly, staunchly believed this belief. If I don't focus on anything negative, or if I don't talk about or learn about anything about dark forces, then I won't attract any of it to me. And yet they still had this experience. They still had this experience. And they go through a period of existential crisis of like, why did this happen? I believed this, and their original belief turned out to not be true. And so, so again, I'm not here to try to convince anyone who really has a strong belief that like anything psychic protection is fear-based. If you are entrenched in that belief, nothing that I say is going to convince you. So, like, I wish you well. So much love. Sending you love. But this video, ramble and sharing my points here is more about the people who've gone through that, who've experienced spiritual warfare despite having had that belief, or people who are maybe on the fence and not sure, like, well, is it safe to learn about these kinds of things, or is it fear-based? So hopefully what I shared today has given you food for thought and will help you to clarify whatever it is that you believe. I definitely invite you to share some of your thoughts in the comments, because when you do so, it helps you gain clarity, and it also helps other people to gain clarity. Everyone else who reads your comment will gain clarity in whatever they believe, and that's my hope, is for everyone to gain clarity in what you believe. So, just a couple of quick announcements before we go. If you would like more information on how to work with me, you can find that at my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. If you sign up for the newsletter, there's a really awesome free gift. And then also I have 2 ways to work with me. The first way is my self-study program, and it's called the Psychic Protection Solution. The second way is my group mentoring program, and that's where you can work with me directly within a group format, and that is called Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And both of those can be found on my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. As always, I'm sending you lots of love. Until next time.